Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Today is, wow, March 4th. Boy, we are zipping on by here. Got a lot to discuss, not necessarily for my friends down here in South Florida. As you can see, we're enjoying another incredibly beautiful day. I got to tell you, yesterday was just Sunday, too. Sunday and yesterday, I don't know if you can get much better than some of the weather that we've been seeing down here. I would, on a scale of 1 to 10 for Sunday, I mean, that would have been it's a 20. It was just so incredibly beautiful. And then yesterday, on a scale of 1 to 10, was probably pretty close to a 10 too. I mean, it's just been fantastic. We've had no humidity. Every day you get a mix of sun and clouds, or at least currently. Temperatures in the low 70s, low to mid 70s. You do have a couple of spotty showers here or there, but it's just been fantastic. The only that's going to continue at least through today. Could be a thunderstorm late in the day on Wednesday, but the thing that I want to caution you, it's a lot of snowbirds that come down here this time of the year, and many of them, even though they've probably been coming down year after year after year, they're just not aware. Rip currents are a big problem right now, especially on the Atlantic waters. Uh, it just really depends, the wind direction, the angle in which the waves are coming in. It all helps to produce these rip currents. We got big waves today, 5 to 7 feet, and occasionally higher swells. And again, the waves coming in at an angle because the wind is out of the southeast and it's gusty. I mean, you can see the trees blowing behind me here. So I just want to caution you, beachgoers today, you got to swim on guarded beaches. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to do that. You got to be careful out there. Boaters, same thing. Just a small craft advisory up. The waters are going to be rough. Really got to take it easy. Let me show you the statement here from the National Weather Service so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. I'll share the screen, and I believe it is. Let's see. It's funny. I'm not sure if I know which one I'm starting with here. I've got them all lined up. Let's try this one. Yeah, this one's it. Okay, so you guys see that there on the left? There's a look at some of the words, some of the verbiage here. High risk of rip currents remains in effect. Now, this is Broward and Miami-Dade counties. It's also for Palm Beach County. It goes all the way up to the Treasure Coast. Okay. It's for today, right through Wednesday evening. High risk of rip currents can sweep even the best of swimmers away. And we've had the sad reality is we've had not so much recently, the last couple of months, but I've only been here for about 5 months, and I can think of at least 5 instances where we've had 4 or 5 instances where we've had somebody swept away and drowned because of the rip currents. So you got to be really, really careful down here. That's the only issue. Now, the other thing that we're going to watch here is for the first time this season, we could be looking at a severe weather outbreak. And the Storm Prediction Center has been all over this. And these guys are some of the best forecasters in the entire world. I mean, they're really, really good when it comes to severe weather. And you can see the area outlined here. So it's a heightened alert. It's a level 3 out of 5. And you can see that in the ENH stands for enhanced. That's the level 3 out of 5. That's the area where Storm Prediction Center is expecting a little more concentrated zone of severe weather. Damage could occur because of thunderstorms that produce straight line winds, tornadoes, hail. So it's going to be in that area there. And I was looking at the setup, and the wind direction would support tornadoes here. The winds at the surface are out of the sort of southeast. And then with the jet roaring out of the southwest, you've got two kinds of shear going on here right now. You've got directional shear and you've got wind shear, meaning, speed shear, sorry. Meaning with height, the wind increases, and then the directional shear is, you can probably imagine, it's changing direction with height. So you have both of those going on right now. All right. So the bullseye is going to be right here across the deep south. It takes part of 7 different states, the tip of southeast Oklahoma, extreme northeast Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and the panhandle, parts of the panhandle of Georgia there. So that is today. And then everything, watch this. So everything then east. And what's interesting here, this is Wednesday. What's interesting here is they did not have the enhanced risk area on there yesterday. They've added it, and they've also expanded the slight risk. All right. The slight risk, the green there, I'm sorry, the yellow, that was confined just to the coast across the Virginias and the Carolinas. That's now been expanded. And wow, boy, that wind is whipping. Woo! That was a good gust right there. I love the wind chimes. I think I want to add another one. It's just a beautiful day here in South Florida. My goodness. Anyway, so now we're on the East Coast. This is Wednesday. Notice what's going on here. The bullseye area is across eastern North Carolina, eastern South Carolina, and that southern tip of Virginia. Okay, it includes Virginia Beach, Norfolk, those areas, all the way down to Myrtle Beach and Charleston, South Carolina, maybe even as far south as Savannah, Georgia. That's going to be the enhanced risk area. The slight risk is from, let's say, Lake Erie through Pittsburgh and Harrisburg south, all the way down into Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, so those are the areas that are going to end up seeing some rough stuff over the next couple of days. And part of the reason for the expansion of those risks is this right here. Okay. Actually, let me show you this one first before motion. So this is, I don't know if you guys can see it. This is the severe significant tornado parameter. Okay. And what this is it takes into account wind shear and a bunch of other parameters. And this is showing you where the modeling thinks you will see tornadoes develop. So here's today. You can see the reds there right across the deep south, and it's exactly in the area that is under that enhanced risk. Although what's interesting is, if you remember, the enhanced risk was a little bit farther to the north too. It included Arkansas and portions of Oklahoma and northeast Texas. I don't see too much there. The big threat is going to be right there on the Gulf Coast. And then notice everything sweeps east as we get into tonight, and then kind of settles down. Okay, this is overnight, not much going on, and then boom, everything flares up again. Look where it is. See where it is this time around? This is tomorrow afternoon, and notice where the bigger numbers are here. It's right over the Virginias and the Carolinas, north up into western Pennsylvania. That was not there yesterday. So the modeling is suggesting that we're going to get a little twisting of the wind here now, right over the Virginias and the Carolinas, um, as we get into Wednesday. And so what this is suggesting is the setup is there. Doesn't necessarily mean you will get tornadoes, but the setup is there. And if you do get thunderstorms developing, all risks are in play here. Possibility of hail, strong straight line winds, and tornadoes. So this is Wednesday afternoon. Here's a look at what the modeling is showing. Okay, let's see for you. And interesting here is, look towards the bottom of your screen. Look at the squall line. Okay, you got a couple of individual cells out ahead of the squall line. But this, to me, looks like mainly straight line winds. Although you could get a couple right here where the line breaks a little bit. You could get a couple of supercells, rotating thunderstorms, and severe weather in that regard. And then notice what happens here. It's still a healthy line overnight tonight. Then as it hits the East Coast, you notice a lot of the reds disappear. See that? We've got a lot of yellows and greens. Now, what you're looking at here is the NAM 3K. It's a very high resolution forecast model. And again, it does show a couple of red blobs here or there. You know, it does get a little, that line gets a little beefy to the south late in the day on Wednesday, but it's only through, let's say, Raleigh, North Carolina, down to maybe Myrtle Beach, and then that's it. It goes off the coast. This thing here, the latest update, doesn't even show anything in southeast Pennsylvania or New Jersey. See that? Let's go back. So it just kind of takes everything and kind of centers it in eastern North and South Carolina. But we'll see. You can also, I want you to notice this here. There's so much spin with this big closed low. Look at the center part of your screen there. Watch the circulation. See the big low? See it spinning there? There's a lot of spin in the atmosphere here as we get into next couple of days. So again, back to this right here. And again, what this is showing is this is where the model thinks there could be some tornadoes. As we get into Wednesday, notice everything falls apart before it makes it into the tri-state. It also falls apart for the snowbirds down here in southern Florida. It also falls apart before it ever even makes it into the Sunshine State. The Panhandle could get some rough stuff, especially the western part of it. But from Orlando south, we're just going to play it up as maybe a spotty thunderstorm on Wednesday during the evening commute, especially on the Treasure Coast. It's probably the best bet, but that's it. I don't think you get anything severe. At least that's the way it's looking at the moment. And maybe you get a good downpour, and that should be about it. And it would be spotty at best too. This doesn't look like a widespread event for the folks in South Florida. Okay, quickly, let me show you what's going on here with the Atlantic waters, the Atlantic basin. We're getting pretty close now to the start of hurricane season. And I did a little something on this on my Facebook page. I wanted to kind of show you guys real quickly here. So technically, the water in the Caribbean and the Gulf is above normal. Okay. But it's a lot cooler than it was this same time last year. And if you remember last year we were really concerned. The waters were boiling. We had conditions that were favorable for development in close in the Caribbean and the Gulf. We weren't expecting a lot of wind shear because of the ENSO cycle. So we knew it was going to be a busy season. It took a while to get going, but it did. And then we had those huge storms. We had Helene, we had Milton, we had, I forget how many actually hit the Gulf Coast. I think there was 5 that actually hit last year. So the interesting thing here is the MDR, what you're looking at here. This is the main development region. To the right is the extreme west coast of Africa. There's the Cape Verde Islands there in the blue if you look closely. And then if you look towards the left, that's the Leeward Islands. Okay. So if you go from left to right or right to left, you can see there's some blue here where the waters are actually below normal in the MDR region. Now, as you get closer to the Leeward Islands, it is above normal, but it's not boiling like it was last year. Okay. So that would suggest to me that you probably won't get as much develop. Now, again, look, it's early. Okay. So things can change, but it's a good sign because right now it would suggest to me that it wouldn't be as active as what we saw last year in that area. Again, it's early, but the fact that it's cooler is a good sign. Now, we go a little bit farther to the west. Here's where things get interesting. Look at the Caribbean. The whole thing is above normal. Again, it's not as warm as it was last year at this time, but it's above normal. Look at the Gulf. You got the loop current. That thing is boiling. Now, the eastern Gulf is actually below normal as you approach the state of Florida. That's good. But the thing with the Gulf is it's shallow, compared to the Atlantic basin. Most of the Atlantic basin is shallow and it doesn't take much to really get that thing to warm. Okay, so I don't like the way that loop current looks. So what I'm seeing here, just this is just looking at the water. I'm not taking anything else into account. What this would suggest to me is you got to watch out for those homegrown enclosed storms, the storms that develop in the Gulf seemingly out of nowhere, the storms that'll develop in the Caribbean near Jamaica or the Cayman Islands almost out of nowhere. They just suddenly form from a cluster of thunderstorms and boom, like that. Now it's a tropical storm, or boom, like that. It's a tropical storm that goes to a cat too. That's the kind of stuff that I think you're going to have to watch out for with the water looking like that. Also, here's a look at this. This is the ENSO cycle. All right. For the first time in a while, the ENSO cycle, La Nina, El Nino, looks neutral during the peak of hurricane season. So that's good. That would also suggest a normal hurricane season here. And what a normal hurricane season is for us is it's 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, 3 majors. Okay, that's a normal season. So the ENSO cycle would suggest a normal season. The water temperatures right now would also suggest a normal season.